Hey everyone, welcome to episode 1 of Morning Owls. I'm Ezra. I'm here with my co-host Nick. Really looking forward to being able to talk to you about some social strategy, talk through some updates taking place across the social media landscape. Been at Hootsuite for 5 years, and Nick, I'll let you introduce yourself as well too.
Yeah, for sure. My name is Nick Martin. I'm on the Hootsuite social team. I've been at the company for 7 years now, so I got a couple of years up on Ezra. But I've been working in the social media marketing worlds and industry for the last almost 12 years. So a lot of day-to-day work and a lot of time put into social media marketing. So I'm excited to be talking about it.
Awesome. And for this being the first show, just to talk about the concept here, the goal to talk some hot takes on some of the new updates taking place across social media in the past few weeks. And then we'll have a key question of the day that we'll talk about when it comes to social media strategy. So kicking that off, and obviously a very controversial topic in the space has been Twitter's new company verification and payment model that they've been pushing. Most interestingly, not just on the Twitter Blue model, but at the company page level, that new $1,000 per month subscription that they're starting to push. And being a Twitter savant here, Nick, would love to kick it over to you to get your initial thoughts on the changes.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of changes coming from Twitter. They're moving fast. They are trying to break things and fix things as quick as they can. Now they have the $8 a month to get the Blue verification for Twitter Blue, and now they've provided this new option for organizations to pay $1,000 a month to get a special gold check mark to a different kind of verification. Now, what are my thoughts on this? And do I think that it's worth it for brands to be using it? Right now, I'd say it's way too early to say. My gut feeling is I'd steer away from it for now. I would let other brands go through and kind of take that dive to go see if they are getting any additional benefits. One of the things that has happened recently is they did open source on their code, so people were able to go through and identify certain things within the code. And one of the things that happened was that people with Twitter Blue, so people who are paying the $8 a month, they're getting boosted within the algorithm. The algorithm is seeing like, yes, this person is paying us. They're going to be sent to more people. They're just going to have automatically more organic reach. I'm going to assume that when brands are paying the $1,000 a month, that's going to happen as well, probably on a much larger scale. You're going to be shown to more people, and you're going to be, you know, given preference within the algorithm. But the question of is it worth it right now? I'm going to go back to my original answer, saying like, I don't think so, not yet. We need more time, and we need more information and data for me to be like, yes, okay, I can see that whatever brand has been using it and it's been working really well for them, and they're getting lots of engagement, they're getting lots of followers, they're getting lots of preference from the social network. So that's where my thought is right now. I don't think it's too early to tell.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great take there. And it'll be interesting to see where Twitter takes that overall. I think another topic that's been taking the social networks by storm has been the introduction of Lemonade, which is a new app from ByteDance, the parent company of TikTok. Obviously, lots of conversation going on sort of at the government level on that front. But sort of on the influencer and the social media space, lots of conversation about this new app and this new opportunity to connect with a new audience. I know it's very in the early days. So I'm curious, Nick, when you think about new platforms, whether that's Lemonade or Mastodon or some of these names that start to come up, how do you approach looking into these? Like as a social media manager, what's your take?
Yeah, so social media managers are busy. We already have a handful of networks that we're already juggling and trying to keep content, filled with our content. Whenever a new network comes through, like Mastodon, like Clubhouse, like Lemonade, which is so brand new. I've got a story about this I'll tell in a second. It's so brand new that I am still just learning about it. You have to take a look and do a quick analysis. Is this going to be a network that our audience is moving on to? Is this a network that is being flooded with real users who want to come and talk about Hootsuite? From my perspective, that's what matters to me. Someone like Oreo or Sour Patch Kids, they're doing the same thing. Is our audience there? Do we want to go over there? Do we want to invest the time to build a strategy, to build a following from scratch, right? They have to go and do all that. It's a lot of work on top of working with all of these other networks that we're already doing: Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, right? So a lot of the time right now when these new networks are coming through, I still, similar to the last question we were talking about, and with the Twitter business and paying $1,000 a month, I still say you got to wait and see. Are we sure that this is something that we want to do? You could be an early mover, but you put yourself at risk of shifting a lot of energy and a lot of time over to this new network that might not, come to fruition with the engagements and goals that you want to be hitting. So, as an example, I can tell you about Lemonade. So I was having a conversation with somebody the other day about Twitter changing the bluebird to the dog, or Doge.
Yep.
And and I thought we were talking about cryptocurrency, and somebody in that same conversation said, "Hey, well, what do you think about Lemonade?" And I had no idea about it, and I thought we were still talking about cryptocurrencies. So I was like, "Look, you're talking to the wrong guy. I'm not a big fan of. I don't know much about cryptocurrencies, so don't ask me too many questions." And then it wasn't until a couple days later that I was like, "Oh, Lemonade is like a new network," and what it is, for if anybody's watching and is not sure, it's kind of like a mix of Pinterest and Instagram. So it's like really highly curated. You can link to like the items, let's say, that an influencer or you might be wearing. Like I could tag Adidas, right? And be like, I got this sweater here and cost this much, things like that. So you can kind of curate your feed a little bit and make it very like, you want to wear this outfit, here's how you can do it, or you want to buy this, go to this restaurant, here's what I ordered, right? Things like that. That's how it was presented to me, at least when I was doing my research. But it's way too early for me to be like, yes, we need to move Hootsuite over to Lemonade. I will say you can go and like save your brand handle on there and like make sure that you own that name. So Coca-Cola, whether they're not going to like use Lemonade or not, we'll probably want to go over and just make sure that the handle Coca-Cola is saved. Hootsuite, we're going to want to do the same thing. Same with everybody that's watching. If, however big or small you are, in the off chance that, oh, not even in the off chance, but in the chance that the network does take off and becomes a new pillar that we want to be working in, now your account is already saved and you get the name and the handle that you want to be using.
Yeah, I think that's a great point to be thinking about, especially with so many new channels popping up all the time. Moving forward here, so talking about Instagram and some updates taking place there, some changes on the Instagram search side where ads will start appearing within searches on Instagram. Personally, I'm fascinated by the social media networks and sort of the evolution of SEO there. I know Google and Bing and all those platforms have been around a long time and have been really optimized, and sort of social search is going to be that new frontier. When you think about creating content, like, do you think you'll be investing in search ads here? Do you try and optimize your content for that search experience? Nick, would love to hear your thoughts.
Well, so social search was one of our key trends that popped up in our social trends 2023 report. We sent every year, for anybody who's watching, the Hootsuite team, we send out a survey to like 15,000 social media marketers and marketers around the world. And we get their input and we identify within the survey and within the feedback and the conversations we have with people, like what sort of trends people seeing. And what's mattering to them. And one of the things that we've noticed and was identified within the trends report was that social search. It's hard to say for me. Social search. Yeah, I still can't say it. When people are searching on social, they go to places. It's changed. So younger people, for example, they don't Google anymore. They go to places like TikTok, or they go to Instagram and they type in, as an example, Vancouver hikes or best Thai food in Vancouver. And that's how they do their search. And then all of a sudden they're getting real people showing a TikTok video of, I went to this Thai restaurant and it had the best whatever meal that I've had. And they get to see what it looks like. They get to see this person's reaction, all sorts of little things. And that's way more valuable to these people than when they just typed into Google and you get an ad that says, it's this one, go look at it, right? And so they start to trust this a lot more. So social search has is on the rise. Now, in my opinion, this is Meta who's going to probably be putting it into Facebook and Instagram. But this is their way of saying, okay, we see people are doing this. This is a new habit that is forming. We want to start taking advantage of that by making some money off of it. And this is an opportunity for brands like me or everybody else to say, okay, I'm going to curate or I'm going to create a piece of content like an ad, and I'm going to build it so that it fits into this search, whether it's best hikes in Vancouver or maybe best hikes isn't going to work, but maybe best Thai food. Let's talk about that, right? Then a Thai restaurant could fit into that and they could create an ad that works there. Or alternatively, maybe there's a high-end sushi spot that wants to fit into there because they know that we can pull people over from, actually you want sushi today. That's my thoughts. I
Yeah,
think it's great.
absolutely. I think it's exciting changes, and I think it's interesting to see social not just be this channel for brand awareness, but really a channel to capture that demand, those in the moment searches that people are making. So
Yeah.
I'm very excited to see how things play out there. On to the big question of the day here, Nick, a little bit more on the strategy side. And I think one that you're quite passionate about and have been sort of leading the charge here internally.
Yeah.
With the explosion of ChatGPT, a lot of platforms now starting to incorporate that into what they're doing from a solution standpoint. Would love to get your thoughts on sort of how you're thinking about incorporating AI content into the work that you're doing, both today and in the long term.
Yeah, so I am a massive advocate for using AI as a social media marketer. Anybody working in an office situation, I think, could take advantage of AI, especially at the point that it's at. And it's just going to get better. But I use AI. I can tell you this. I use AI to how do I say this? I use it for the text side of things. So to help create whatever text I need. So Chat GPT is one of my best friends right now. I use it as an assistant, and I will say that people are getting a little nervous that AI is going to take their jobs, and I don't believe that. I don't think AI is going to take your jobs, not for the near future at least. But people who know how to use AI, they will put your job at risk. So I recommend first and foremost, before I even dive into AI, that everybody that's watching this start practicing. Look up ChatGPT. You can mess around with like Midjourney, which is a image side of things where you can put in a text prompt and it will present an image for you. So I'm not a very creative person from a design side of things. I love working with words, but creating an image is not really my specialty. But I can create a prompt within Midjourney that will present a beautiful image, and I think that's so cool. And it's gone so far, even in the last few months. It's developed and evolved to such an interesting point. I'm gonna get off my my high horse on that soapbox and step back down into like how to use AI and how to incorporate it into your content strategy. It should first and foremost always just be a first draft. Use AI as an assistant. Don't use it as a set it and forget it, copy and paste and send it out. Okay, so when I know what I'll need to do. Let's say I want to create an email, or I need to create a brief, or I need to create a Twitter thread, as an example. I will go into ChatGPT, or maybe there's a tool coming out soon that we can talk about in a little bit, but in coming weeks. But I'll go into these tools, and we can I'll put in a prompt, say, okay, tell me about social listening. How can I write a Twitter thread for social listening? It says, okay, here it comes. It gives you a prompt, or it gives you the output. And then what we'll do is I don't copy and paste that out. I take that as a first draft, and now I need to work within my brand guidelines and work within my brand tone. And I take that and I fix it to make it fit. Okay, because there's still guidelines and guide rails that we have to be using for as social media marketers, and I don't want to be just using AI and then sitting on my butt and just sending it out, because that's lazy. You need to make sure that it fits. So when you're incorporating AI content into your content strategy, it's a first draft. This is your assistant saying, hey, what do you think about this? You say, that's good. I'm going to fix it. Then I'm going to send it out.
Have you been finding that it's saving you a lot of time in your day-to-day when it comes to getting those first drafts together, or how's that been working for you?
100%. Yeah. So, these tools can turn around an entire brainstorm, an hour-long brainstorm session. It can turn it around into 30 seconds where I say, give me a list of content ideas for whatever. Let's stick with social listening as an idea, right? And then it'll just say, okay, here's 10 ideas. And then I go, okay, this is really good. Now let's focus on number 3. Can we elaborate on this? What sort of content do we want to be talking around in here? And number 3 being like, social listening should be important for competitive intelligence. And it's going to then break down more reasons why competitive intelligence and social listening is important, the value we can go there. And then I go, okay, awesome. Let's start building a thread based on this point, this point, this point. And it's like, I've just did an hour and a half worth of work if I needed to sit and have a conversation going back and forth with somebody, where sometimes we get stuck and sometimes we go like, I don't know if this is very good, right? This AI is able to present like valuable, like not expert level input and insights, but it's like above average insights, which a lot of the time is good enough for me as an expert or everybody else that's watching as experts to take that and take it to the next level.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I love that take. I'm very excited to see how things evolve, both on the tech side and then on the images side as well too, as
Yeah.
brands start to incorporate that and keep it
And
within
another
the brand
thing,
teams.
like a warning for people is like always make sure you still have your critical thinking hat on when you're working with AI, because sometimes the output may not be correct, right? It's not perfect. So you have to make sure that you are using your thinking cap still, that you go like, is this what I want? Is this accurate? Is this what I want to be presenting on behalf of my brand or on behalf of myself? So just a heads up on that, because sometimes it can be wrong, and you need to be able to identify that. That's important.
Yeah, I've seen the examples of how confidently wrong AI is in terms of their determinations, whether it's making chess moves that you can't
Yeah,
legally do, or just doing math calculations and really pushing them through with their
it
beliefs.
can be
So
really, there's really funny examples online. I definitely recommend people go check them out. But yeah, it can confidently incorrect is the best way to say it. You nailed
yeah, I hope we all have that confidence in our work in terms of what we
it.
put forward.
Yeah.
And to wrap up the conversation today, just to speak to a highlight of the week here, I know you'd recently seen a post that you wanted to feature in terms of sort of an interesting take on social.
Yeah, well, this one I thought was really funny. It's a post on Twitter from Oreo. Okay, so Oreo, everybody knows them, delicious cookies. They've got a bunch of different flavors. And this post stood out to me because I was like, "What? Where did this come from? Where did this?" I'm going to share it onto the screen in a second, but it made me really stop as a marketer and be like, Where were they coming from? Were they when they shared this? Like, what was the goal of this tweet?" And I'll put it up on screen here. Let me see if we can see this. So right at the top of the screen there, it says from the official. They've got the gold check mark right now, which I will say, not everybody's paying for the $10,000 or $12,000 a year right now. The top 10,000 accounts with most followers automatically received this. I think in the future they're going to want to be charged, but that's neither here nor there. So we see that they've got that. This is the verified Oreo account, and they say no more emails. We've decided email is canceled. Couple things that I look at from this, like as a marketer, I see it's all lowercase, which is brand voice. It's like the tone that they're trying to represent. But it's also like there's no CTAs, there's no links, there's no conversations about cookies, right? And it's like who are they talking to? Who is their audience? What is the goal of this tweet? We can see it generated 537 likes, a whole bunch of retweets, and I just thought it was so funny. And the top reply is Crumble Cookies, so another cookie company is saying, showing this to our boss if they question why we aren't responding to any emails. So it's like, was this post sent out for other social media managers to engage on and brands to join in on? Or like, I want to hear your take on this too, Ezra, because it's like, what do you think the goal was?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I think for me, it's how do you stand out in that social feed? How do you get people to stop for a minute to look at the content you're putting out here? And I think you summarized it perfectly. Where a brand like Oreo, you never expect for something like this to come out. There's tons of examples of great brands, both in the food space and beyond, creating this quirky content that sort of challenges the norm. And this is what gets you to stop your scroll and take a minute and ask yourself those questions, and then start to say, why would Oreo do this? Like, is this something that resonates with me? Should I leave a comment and engage? And I think although it's not necessarily doesn't necessarily make me want to go out and buy an Oreo. The fact that we're talking about Oreo, it's the top of the line there in terms of sort of the conversation. I think they're achieving their goal, and I think to your point too, and sort of the simple tweet, lots of platforms reward different activities. But the new Twitter sort of API or open source coming out there, having these linkless posts driving for engagement is really a great way to drive visibility on your content.
Yeah.
And so it's great to see them experimenting and trying out these new things that make social media fun and make people excited to be on social media.
You know, because I thought it was funny. Don't get me wrong, I hate emails. I agree with Oreo here. So maybe that's what it was, where people just go like, "Yep, like that." They're gonna send it off to their friends or their bosses. You know, hey, I'm not gonna be responding to my emails. Oreo said it was okay, and maybe that's just what the full output was, to have these kind of silly conversations. And you know, I always say people are like binary with how they think, and this is just a little touch point to be like, okay, you know, I enjoyed what Oreo's talking about. I'm going to like them just a little bit more, so that maybe further down the line, when I go into the grocery store, I will decide to buy Oreo when I see them on the shelf.
Absolutely. I think that's a great note to end on for today as well, too. So thanks again for your time this morning, Nick. Really looking forward to our next conversation here and wishing everyone a wonderful day.
Yeah, absolutely. Have a good one.